So, welcome everybody to Goddess in Rhythm. I am your host, Allie McPhee. It is such an honor to be able to share these codes of the menstrual cycle with you all. This has been such a journey for me in reclaiming my sovereignty. We come into this world where, I believe fully that we choose our parents. I believe that we have soul work to do, and we come into this world and we may have been born and raised in situations that didn't teach us of our true priestess nature, of our true cyclical nature. I know for me that this education was not shared in middle school or high school. We were taught about the birds and the bees and everybody was laughing, sex education, things like that. But as far as when we ovulate, what the luteal phase is, menstrual phase, follicular phase, we were not taught these things. And so for me, my personal journey, I went on the birth control contraceptive not because of pain or acne or irregular cycles, which is oftentimes why birth control contraceptives are prescribed, is to alleviate those symptoms. However, once we alleviate the symptom through birth control, it's actually just a Band-Aid. It's not getting to the root of those hormonal imbalances. We're going to go through this in the whole course, so don't worry, lots of information on that. But I went on the birth control contraceptive because I was afraid of getting pregnant. I didn't know when my body was ovulating. I didn't know that there was a window of time each month that we were fertile and then times that we weren't. I thought we could get pregnant at any point. And this is because this wasn't taught. And so I was on the birth control pill for 5 years. When I decided to get off of it's because I read a book called The Red Tent. And this was the first time I literally felt my womb pulse. It was like this deep, movement that was stirring from my sacral chakra. And in that moment of, feeling that, and also reading this book, where if you haven't read The Red Tent, highly recommend this book. It's by Anita Diamant. I think it's 21 years old now. This book has literally opened up a portal for our collective in recognizing how our ancestors used to honor their moon time in these tribal communities they lived in, and how they were synced with the moon, and the women would go into these menstrual huts and bleed together. And in the space of resting and relieving their duties, they would also pass down their sacred lineage, herbalism, pregnancy tips, childbirthing tips, menopause, moon pause, I like to call it, tips. This information was passed down as sisters gathered. And so I felt this tribal sisterhood, living connection with the moon. And this is the first time, again, that I felt my womb pulse. And that's when I recognized that I wasn't living in this cyclical experience, that I was on this birth control contraceptive that was controlling my hormones. And, beyond the birth control contraceptive, we have other types of birth controls that have hormones in them as well, like the Mirena IUD. There's now, I forget the name of it. It starts with an N, but it's the patch that they actually insert into your arm. So there's other ways to receive synthetic hormones. But basically what these systems do is they block our ability to ovulate. So there's no egg releasing from the follicle. And that helps prevent pregnancy because there's nothing to fertilize. There's no egg to fertilize. However, this can take us out of this lunar seasonal shift that we have within our beings, the cyclical energy of moving through each of the phases that we go through from our internal hormonal shifts. Because we're actually, when we're taking these contraceptives or synthetic hormones, it's like we're in a perpetual state of pre-ovulation. Our body never ovulates. So after ovulation, as you'll learn in this course, we produce high levels of progesterone. Our body never gets that chance to make progesterone because there's no need. We are supplied progestin, which is a synthetic version of progesterone. However, there's now recent studies being shown that progestin can disrupt the gut microbiome, as well as it can in ways be converted to more estrogen in the body. So they're finding out that this progestin, the synthetic version that these pills are giving us, are causing to higher levels of estrogen. So a lot of women coming off these contraceptives or hormonal supplements, synthetic hormonal supplements, are experiencing either low estrogen in the beginning and then high estrogen later, causing estrogen dominance symptoms, which again, we'll talk about this in the course. But just for the sake of my story, I decided to stop taking the birth control contraceptive, and I didn't have a period for 2 whole years. And when it finally came back, I was opening a restaurant as head chef. So this is a gluten-free, dairy-free cafe in Indianapolis, and it was a lot of work. I was working 80 hours a week, and in this job, I was stressed out, and my moon came back. And I actually had a visitation from the goddess. We're going to be diving deep into the goddess archetypes with our menstrual cycle throughout this course. And I had a visitation from the wild goddess. I think it was mostly Baba Yaga, who I'm thinking came to me because she's a super wild goddess. And she told me that I was also at the time shaving my pubic hair. And she told me, when you grow this back out fully, you will receive your menstrual flow. And so I grew it out, and then 2.5 months later, my flow came back. And I was so excited to get my moon. And later I found out that like we actually trap pheromones in the space of our body. So it does impact our sexuality, and the birth control pill can actually affect our libido. So I was reclaiming all these pieces. My libido, my creative energy that I found was connected to this. My womb wisdom of being able to say yes or no and trusting my intuition. And my flow came back. However, when it came back, I had estrogen dominance, which is high estrogen and low progesterone. And I was on my moon 2 weeks every single month. And it was brown and sometimes even very dark, like a black color for days. And then eventually it went into the red flow, but it would be super heavy waterfall, sometimes very clotty, exhausting. And I'm trying to run this restaurant, and I wasn't drinking caffeine at the time, but I was exhausted because I wasn't sleeping very well. And so I'd go to all these plant-based sugary sweets. So like dates and maple syrup, all the delicious things that you make when you're a raw food chef. And sugar still breaks down into glucose that gives you energy, but it can give you these crashes. And so I was having blood sugar imbalances as well, and my body spiraled out of control. So when I ended up resigning from that position to nurture my health, and when I met with my OBGYN, she diagnosed what was going on with my hormones, and also said that I needed to take synthetic progesterone in order to balance. And at that time, this is when I was 25 years old, and I was thinking, this doesn't make sense. Like, I should not, have these experiences going on where I have to depend on a synthetic hormone for the rest of my life. So I ended up taking matters into my own hands and applying my wisdom of nutrition to how to eat for the menstrual cycle. And that's when I went down this rabbit hole of learning about the 4 inner seasons we go through: our inner winter, our inner spring, our inner summer, our inner fall, how the hormones fluctuate, and how to eat differently for each of these phases so that I could take care of my body, as well as how to slow down in life and attune to the cycles of the moon, to attune to my life's purpose, my creatrix energy, my womb wisdom. And through this journey, my cycle has come down to 3 to 5 days. I'm actually on day 3 right now. It's slowing down. It should be done probably by tomorrow. And I don't experience any pain. When my cycle comes, it is this beautiful process where I get to deeply listen to my guides and my intuition and just be in this beautiful surrender and release. And this prepares me for the following month ahead, what I am to birth, because I get to create this stillness where new seeds are incubated into my consciousness. I have these aha moments, and then going into the month ahead, it's clear where I'm going to place my attention. So that's my journey. And then I just started realizing how many other women were experiencing the same thing, hormonal symptoms, getting prescribed the birth control pill or synthetic hormones by their OBGYN. And I just felt that this is a huge need in our society right now. So I studied to be a women's health and nutrition coach, a Red 10 facilitator, the path of Tantra as a Dakini, and started hormone balancing chefing for retreats, and I'm currently working on a cookbook for women's hormone balance that I intend to be published. And you also have your moon cycle e-cookbook in this course. Yay, thank you. And just realizing that this is needed right now. This education is not what we were taught when we were young. And the more that we step into this, this is where we find our true sovereignty. Because instead of being in the dark and being confused why one week we're feeling sexually alive and then the next week we're feeling emotional, we don't have to feel like there's something wrong with us. We don't have to feel like we just are crazy, wild women who aren't in control of our emotions. Instead, we can know what's going on biologically in our body, physiologically, and we can work with our system. And the more that we're in tune with this rhythm and practice ritual and drink certain herbs and eat certain foods and honor these phases, that is when the strength of who we are and what we've come here to do on this planet as light workers, as creative beings, that's where our strength comes from, knowing ourselves and being able to utilize the wisdom of each season and then share more of our authentic, vulnerable self into the world through communicating who we are and from planning out our schedules, or if we're an entrepreneur, planning out our schedules according to our inner seasons. A lot of this can help us show up in the world with more strength, as well as the process of healing all the underlying messages of the period is a curse and that this is dirty and that this slows us down. Being able to step into full radical love for our journey is again where our strength comes from. So I hope this next month that you're able to set aside time in your calendar to work through these practices in the online temple space, to as much as you can show up to this online circle and share your truth, share yourself, because that is how I fully feel like we learn. We get to go through this journey together in a sisterhood support. We get to be witnessed and we get to embody these practices. We get to try them on. We get to listen to our cycle and learn about ourselves. And with this accountability, we can implement it and root it so that this becomes our new blueprint. So welcome, Sisters of Goddess and Rhythm. Blessing you all here. I want to hear from all of you in just a second. Also, there's 13 of us, well, 14 including me, who are in this course. There's, I guess, many people that aren't here today, but we also have a Facebook group that at any point in this course, you can make a live video, you can write a post, you can share photos of your rituals, photos of your food, and really share yourself. And I invite you to take on that challenge to share yourself, because the more you participate and share, the more you get out of it. There's difference between listening and receiving and practicing versus listening, receiving, practicing, and sharing. Because when we step into that sharing role, we start to learn even further. We start to become in a teacher role, and that's how we really start to understand the depth of what we're creating. Plus, we get feedback from others, and then we inspire others to also share more and participate more. So it's that accountability practice. So we're going to call in the directions in a little bit to open up our temple today. We're probably going to go for about another hour today, but I would just love to open up our circle to hear some of your voices, to hear where you're from, what's your name, and we'll have time to create our intention for this course later. So maybe if you want to just share a little bit about yourself, what you do in the world, if there's a project you're working on, a business you have, or a life's journey you're on, or something exciting that's happening, or something challenging, whatever you would like to share about yourself, you are welcome. There is no judgment here. So I'm going to grab my talking stick. This is a practice of the red tent. I'll talk about in a bit, but I have this talking stick, and whoever wants to share first, everyone else, we get to practice just witnessing you in sacred silence full listening, because when one sister is sharing, this is a reflection of ourself. We all are mirrors of each other, and we all can relate to each other's stories. We can find similarities, similar emotions, experiences that we felt. So we get to learn from each other when we share. And then afterwards, we'll take a breath when that sister is finished speaking to close out her share. And then I'll hold up the talking stick again, and the next person who wants to go can share. So I just went. Again, I'm Allie, and it's an honor to be here. And I'm here from Ashland, Oregon, and just ready to begin this journey. So who would like to go first? You can either raise your hand like this, or you can just unmute yourself. So let me know what works. Who would like to go first? Aisley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay. Hi.
Good morning from New Zealand. I'm Aisling, or Ash. You can call me Ash. It's an Irish name. I'm Irish goddess. And so happy to be here. Thank you, Ali. Hi, everybody. I'm talking quiet because my husband and my little boy are still sleeping. It's like not even 6 a.m. here. And a bit about myself. Let me see. I'm on day 2 of my moon. Just got it last night. So, and also I work with women and girls. I do women's circles and pregnancy circles and teenage girl circles. So the more I dive into women's work, the more I become fascinated with learning about hormones. And I think that just doing this is so aligned to what I do. And I can't wait to learn from all of you and share. And I'm really happy to be here. So thank you, Ali, for having us. Namaste.
Inhale, everyone. Thank you for being brave and going first. Okay. Who's up next? Julia? You're going to have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Good afternoon from Brooklyn, New York. I have had a big week. I celebrated a birthday on Wednesday, and it's a really positive shift into a new chapter for me. I left a really stressful job last year and have had a lot of exciting opportunities come my way, and I got to test drive the first one last night, which is like a grown-up rave playground. It's one of the biggest nightclubs in North America. So it was crazy. I had my first day there last night. So this is kind of my morning, even though it's 2 o'clock here. And I'm really happy to be here and learn more about supporting my body through nutrition, especially since I sometimes keep crazy hours and travel a lot. The more superfoods I can give myself, the better I feel, and just learning how to heal my body through food. It's really a blessing, and knowing Allie and getting to be a part of this course is really special. It was my birthday present to myself, so thank you guys.
Inhale. Thank you. Taylor?
Hey everyone, I'm Taylor. I'm from Michigan. I'm a stay-at-home mom with my 3-year-old son. I really like doing like henna and being outside, doing a lot of artwork and cooking lots of vegetarian meals. And yeah, I'm really excited to kind of like fine-tune my menstrual cycle. I had this crazy long like 2-week period, which was super unregular for me. This last cycle that like just ended yesterday. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing kind of like what's going on and just getting back into a natural rhythm. So yeah, I'm excited to meet all of you guys, or goddesses, not guys.
I just wanted to say, you guys, somebody at one point in my priestess training taught me you Gaias. So that one's fun to say. You Gaias. Tina? I think you need to press.
Okay.
There you go. You got it.
Okay. My internet, I'm kind of out in the woods here, and my internet connection is not so good. So just tell me if it doesn't come through, and then I'll stop. But yeah, I'm Tina from Germany. I met Ali last year on the West Coast. Actually, I think we met at Beloved Festival. That was a summer which changed a lot for me and brought me kind of, I think, on the path on which I'm still always starting to walk on. It always feels like starting. And it is. I'm getting more and more, I think, into I'd like to work for women's health and wellness. I'm preparing, well, at the moment, financially preparing for Tantra yoga teacher training in Italy in the fall. I'm so excited about it. I found an amazing teacher couple there. And yes, I've been wanting to receive more of Ali's wisdom in since we met, and I'm so happy that I could also give myself with this this training with all of you. And yeah, I would say that part of what brings me here is definitely a challenging, or yeah, some challenges with my cycle. I'm experiencing a lot of cramping usually, and I don't like to take like painkillers. But I also usually live a very fast-paced life. It's becoming like a gift, or it feels better and better for me to slow down during fall and especially winter. But this, for example, right now I'm at the end of my cycle. I'm not exactly sure, but it feels like in the next days I'm gonna receive my moon, and so it's so good to take moments like this right now, just with sisters. And yeah, I'm just really happy to be here, and can't wait to learn and share. And I hope to bring this also at some point to be able to share this more here in Germany, because it's something that I don't, in the world I live in here, when I come home, it's not at all a topic that we talk about. And yeah, I think thank you.
Thank you. Inhale. Awesome. And last but not least, I think it's Julia. I'm not sure how to say your name. Also, you just froze. Can you hear?
Yeah, it's Julia.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm curious if my sound is working correctly, yeah? Is there sound from me?
There is sound for you. Your video pauses a little bit, but we can hear you.
Okay, I'll do the best I can, Michael. Hey, sis, in Guatemala at the lake, hence my spotty connection. And I'm truly so thrilled to be a part of this journey. Thank you, Ali. I've followed you for a while throughout the community in Ashland, and I've always had such a large interest in exercise and food, and the codes of our womb. And really this course felt like the perfect mergence of all of those factors together, with the intention to really deepen with how we can best show up for our womb and offer and then serve the world through this wholesome space. So I'm really psyched to go deep and to learn all the great details involved in the process of accountable health and wholeness.
Inhale together. Thank you. Such magic. I honor each and every one of you. And again, I feel that it is never a coincidence who ends up showing up and joining in these programs together. Our souls, I feel like, have lived many lifetimes together. We're remembering and we're finding each other again, our sisterhood, our priestess sisterhood. So I'm actually going to partner off you to another sister for the next month that you get to check in with each week. So each week we'll check in here. You get to share. We'll have questions and sharing. But for those deep dive conversations, I will also assign you a partner that you can go further with, check in with. And we do this in my other programs as well. And the ways that this can work is you can either text message each other or call each other on the phone. You can message each other through Facebook Messenger or call each other through Facebook Messenger. There is an app on my phone that I love to use, either WhatsApp if you're out of the country or Marco Polo. It's one of my favorite apps. And this allows you to leave little like walkie-talkie messages of you talking and sharing what you're doing. And then they can watch it and then send one back. So however you want to deepen with your partner or through email, any form of communication works. So I'm going to be assigning you all partners this week and posting that in our Facebook group. So if you haven't joined the Facebook group yet, there should be a link. If you can't find it, just let me know, send me a message, and I will add you. So we'll be able to just form deeper bonds, right? Because I truly feel part of the reason for pain and challenges within the menstrual cycle, beyond all, the negative things our society tells us about it, as well as it not being seen as a sacred rites of passage where we get to celebrate. Beyond all that, I also feel that it is a product of our society's current model of us all living in these adorable little houses isolated from the rest of everyone. It's nice to have our own space, but just bringing this back to when we lived in more tribal agricultural communities, we were all together and we felt this support when times were challenging. And even back to like how we look at our biology, when men were out hunting and they were out, getting the food for the tribe, they would go off together, but then they'd be separate, and they had to be quiet because if they're hunting an animal or perhaps maybe accidentally being hunted by an animal, they needed to be quiet and stay hidden so that they could make the hunt happen and stay out of danger. For women, as they're at the houses, they're, some are gathering berries, some are weaving baskets, taking care of the children that are running around. If a threat came to the community, like if a lion came or a threat came, they wouldn't just run and hide, because if they did that, then who's taking care of the babies, right? So when we were here in these tribal communities, women came together, and together they were stronger. They could defend their families. They could ward off any danger. So it is natural in our biology to, when we are having a problem, what do? We call our friend. We call our mother. We call our, our wisest sister in our life to get support. And so I truly believe that because our current society model has become very isolated in ways, that we're all yearning and craving for this deep space to feel held as we enter our moon times. So let this group be that support for you. We're going to have an experience of a red tent every week where we get to vulnerably share what's on our mind. And again, I just want to share, like, if you are happy and joyful and celebrating, awesome. If you're confused and, you know, feeling a lot of sorrow and in grief or angry or challenged, awesome. Whatever you're feeling is absolutely perfect, divine, and welcome here. We don't have to be anything we're not. All facets of the goddess are welcome. And when you're able to really be with yourself and be witnessed in your vulnerability, that is true intimacy. And we can learn a lot about ourselves from taking off the masks that we feel like we have to wear in society, and sometimes around our families too. I know for me, like, I'm kind of the psychedelic sheep of the family, and not all the time am I understood. And that's such a great journey that I get to learn how to be myself in front of my family, accept myself, and share myself. But that's why we have this group too, is that we don't have to wear a mask here. You are welcome, you are accepted, and you are loved. So before we get started further in today, I'd love to just start opening our portal, our online temple community. This is the Temple of Moonstral Wisdom, I called it. If anyone else has a different name that you want to suggest, please. This is a co-creative process. As we all share, we are co-creating this temple together. But I would love to call in the directions, call in our guides, open up this space of us uniting our womb wisdom together and coming into a place of grounded safety and just being able to ground into this container that's opening here as we dive into this journey for the next lunar cycle. So wherever you're at, if you'd like to make yourself comfortable, you can sit with your spine erect, or you could lay down. Whatever feels good. I invite you to help me to call in the directions. I've got my drum here. So to begin, you can place a hand over your heart, a hand over your womb, or you can place your hand in the downward facing triangle. This is the ancient symbol of feminine wisdom. And if you think about the symbol of sacred union, this is divine masculine. You can think of the two testes and the lingam coming up, divine masculine. Divine feminine is the downward facing triangle, the two ovaries, the cervix coming down, the vagina, and together they create union. So we can place our mudra, our symbol, over our womb spaces and just breathe into our womb, listening to our womb, letting her be our source of guidance. Just take a few inhales, retrograding into your body temple, really occupying the space. And exhale, relax, and allow yourself to deepen your connection to Mother Earth below you. And inhale into your womb, listening, learning this language of the womb, of death and rebirth that we get to go through each month, of shedding and claiming, of expansion, of contraction, of sun and moon codes, this beautiful polarity of opposites and union within opposites that we get to experience from this womb consciousness. And as you listen to your womb, send her love. You know, maybe as you tune into this space, you feel empowered, or maybe you have stories come up. Maybe you've had pain here. Maybe you've had surgery. Whatever is arising, just send so much love to this space, so much radical acceptance. And now we are going to call in the directions, opening up this container, this portal, asking our guides to help us when we feel like we're stuck in our minds, we can't see a new way, surrendering and opening up to receive divine support. We're calling in the east, facing the direction of east. We're calling in the guardians of air. This east energy represents the follicular phase, the spring energy of the female cycle. New ideas. As the sun rises, we have the potential of new beginnings, creativity, releasing old paradigms of outdated belief systems. This Vata energy, we're calling in the goddess Oster, Brigitte, calling in Brija, calling in these goddesses to help activate the wisdom of the East within our being so that we truly embody this creative flow, this excitement of new ideas, this maiden energy that we all have within. Taking an inhale, honoring the East, exhale. And turning to the South, which is behind me. Honoring the South, the fiery alchemical change of passion, that alchemy of fire energy, of creating momentum, of building energy, of right use of sexual energy. We call in the Magdalene, who holds the codes of sacred union, sacred sexuality, bridging the gap of polarities, the right use of our sexual energy to channel it into our creative desires, birthing our dreams. We call in Sekhmet, the fiery goddess of the fiery Egyptian lioness goddess, again, of change, who protects the womb spaces, who helps us fiercely create our boundaries and hold up our sacred no with love, empathy, and compassion in our hearts. Thanking Sekhmet. We honor the South. We honor the energy of summer. Thanking this energy of the South. And blessed be, inhale together. And we turn to the West. Connecting with the West, this watery energy, this fluidity of emotional expression, letting them come, deeply feeling our emotions with no judgment, letting them be fully expressed so that new space is created and that we can shift and weave and change, from honoring our emotions as guides. We're connecting with our guardian friends of the water, our mermaid friends, the fish, the dolphins, the whales, all the sea creatures, the ocean goddess Yamanya, who is flowing through our rivers and streams. Again, we're just honoring this experience of letting our tears shed when they want to come, letting our laughter come easily, effortlessly when it wants to burst through, feeling the depths of our grief, just welcoming all facets of the goddess who show up in our emotional expressions. We're thanking the energy of the West. Inhale. And connecting to the North. Guardians of the North, our earth connection. We are grounding into the wisdom and knowledge of our root structure, so that we can feel that we have a grounded platform within our being to receive this new wisdom that's coming in from this course, and not only receive this wisdom, but integrate it into our roots by practicing these practices, by embodying these experiences, and also reminding ourselves to take rest when we need it, to rejuvenate when we need to honor our cycles. We're connecting with the goddess Pachamama, with Gaia, the mother goddess, with Isis, the Egyptian mother goddess, connecting to the energy of the mother of the cycles, that we are changing in every moment, and that we get to experience these cyclical rhythms internally throughout a whole lunar cycle. So honoring the energy of the North, inhale. And then we turn to below, honoring the earth womb, honoring the underworld journey, invoking Inanna, the goddess who invites us to embrace the shadow. We honor Hecate, who shows up when we have a crossroad in our life where we get to choose which path we want to walk down. Honoring Kali, that change, that destruction that sometimes can be painful, but really she is a deeply loving goddess, helping us clear out the blocks that are not serving our highest path. She helps us clear out that block so we can realign and create space. So honoring this journey of underworld energy, of contraction, honoring below, honoring our shadows, honoring the dark moon. Inhale. And turning to above, to the cosmic womb, to our guides, to the star beings, to our ancestors who have passed, for those who have walked this earth before us and have done this holy, sacred healing work so that we may be where we are currently and have these opportunities to heal and embody more of this soul path wisdom that our ancestors helped carve out for us. I'd like to invite you now to call in your specific guides that you're working with, whether it be archetypal goddesses or any of the archangels, family members who have passed on, spirit guides that you have. We ask that you call them into this space now. And taking a breath, honoring the cosmic womb, Father Sky, our guides who are not visibly here, but we know that they're with us, thanking them, honoring them, and exhale. And again, keeping one hand over your womb and placing one hand over your heart. Breathing up from Mother Earth, feeling that nourishment come up through your womb and into your heart, all the way to the crown of your head, opening up to Father Sky, and exhaling from Father Sky down, allowing that energy from above to come into your heart, down into your womb, and meet the Mother below, creating sacred union within, perhaps imagining an infinity knot turned vertically like a figure 8, breathing up on that infinity knot from the earth, breathing it up through your being, let it cross through your heart, weave back around, open up to Father Sky, and then come back down, cross over your heart, and meet down below into the earth womb, feeling this sacred balance of above and below, of expansion and contraction, yin and yang, light and dark, full moon, dark moon, masculine and feminine, honoring this union, which is our sovereignty, being able to hold both our light and our dark and continue to show up with our hearts and in our vulnerability. May this union that we feel within and with each other be our strength. May our menstrual cycle share with us codes of healing, codes of our sacred mission. May we listen to the wisdom that comes forth from the release of our uterine lining each month, from the release of our egg each month in our fertility. May we weave and birth and dream and sing and pray and cry and laugh. May we dance together. Welcome. Our portal is open. And when you are ready, you can come back to the circle. If you want to offer up some snaps, some cheering, some love, some blessings, whatever you'd like to add into the portal, please do. Beautiful. And I see that Katie has joined us. So welcome, sister. It looks like your sound is off. So if you want to fiddle with getting your Zoom to have your sound available, and if you'd like to join in on your camera, you're welcome to do that too. And I'm going to give us some housekeeping, share a little bit more about how to work with this course, how to use this course. So I have this PowerPoint here for you all today. Can you all see what's on the screen? Yes? Okay, great. So these are just some housekeeping commitments that I would just love to read over with you. Basically, do we agree that we commit to sisterhood, to holding space for others while they're sharing, to witness each other, to not judge ourselves, to not give unsolicited advice, but just love each other and hold this container as sacred? Do we all agree? You can nod your head if you'd like to, or clap your hands, or cheer, whatever feels good. Do we all agree that we are here to be free to be in our vulnerable self, that we're here to dive into our sovereignty journey, and that we're committed to this process, doing the practices, joining live when we can, making space for this in our schedule, taking our planner out and writing in the time each week that we want to give ourselves the space to dive deeper into this course? Do we agree to carve out that time to show up and be our vulnerable, free selves? And if you agree, you can say yes. Do we agree to do our best to arrive in a timely manner so that we're here present to learn and to hold this sacred container? If so, say yes. Nod your head. Do we agree to maintain the privacy of others beyond this temple, beyond our private shares with our sisters when I partner you off into your partners? Do we agree to keep the privacy of this group container through this course and beyond this course? Great. And yeah, also lastly, do we agree to allow ourselves to receive as much magic juiciness that we can so that we can share it to our communities, share it to our daughters, share it in our work? Do we give ourselves permission to receive and let that be the foundation for how we're birthing our creative gifts into the world? Yes, yes. Awesome. And then lastly, I just want to say that I am your facilitator and I'm sharing you this information, but do we agree that we can take or leave whatever I say as your own truth or not your truth? Do we agree that we all are our own inner creatrixes, we're all our own medicine women, and that we see ourselves as the best person to understand what is right for us and what's a no for us, and being able to step into our sacred wisdom in that role? Do we agree? Beautiful. Awesome, beloved sisters. And so it is. So again, I want to welcome you to this being, oh, is the video still on? Let me see, share the screen. Okay. So this is your sacred space. So if you haven't heard of what a red tent is, I'm just going to briefly describe what that is for some of the sisters who may not know what a red tent is. So I am a certified red tent facilitator. Again, this movement was sparked from the book The Red Tent by Anita Diamant. And it's funny because she actually had no intention of sparking this global movement. She just thought back into biblical times that, you know, there weren't a lot of voices of women in the Bible and what it would have looked like in those time periods for those women to be bleeding and be going through these experiences. And so she wrote this book to just give women a voice. And she had no idea and intention that this whole experience would pop up where communities all over the world are creating moon lodges and sisterhood circles and red tents. But so I actually got to be on a call with her and was interviewed about the red tent that we started in Indianapolis. And she just thought it was amazing, but also kind of confusing how this this movement has sparked from her book, because that was not her intention. But it is said that, and it is shown in many ancient civilizations and indigenous communities that there was a moon lodge where sisters would go and bleed on hay. And so if we can think back to the red tent times, or we can think back to these communities, and if you're curious to learn more about this history, there's an amazing book called Womb Awakening by Azra and Suren Bertrand. Highly recommend it. It talks a lot about the history in depth about these practices. But if you can imagine yourself back in this space, we want to kind of recreate this in our moon lodge, feeling that when we are about to bleed, that we can go into this sanctuary with beautiful red dyed fabrics from our moon blood, and there are dates or dried fruits and fresh fruits being passed around. Perhaps in our modern day, we can invite the use of cacao, chocolates, or delicious herbal drinks like nettle and oat straw and red raspberry leaf to help balance our hormones, give our body minerals. And as we come into this space, sisters are massaging each other. They're telling stories of their lineage. Children are running around and laughing. We're sitting upon hay, and our moon blood is coming out, and we're free bleeding onto the earth. Imagine this memory, which is in our collective womb consciousness. And I invite you to, as much as you feel called to recreate any of the pieces I just shared, to utilize this month to create that for yourself when you go into your bleed, and utilize those principles as we come into our live videos each week as well. You know, if you want to make an elixir, and you want to work with a moon cycle cookbook and make some delicious treats, or anoint your forehead with your moon blood, or paint with your moon blood, I invite you to bring some of these practices into our live call, as well as create a space in your room or your house that is your sacred bleeding space, or your sacred space that you get to go to process, to write, to dance, to weave. Creating a space in your home to feel like that's your spiritual sanctuary is an opportunity to allow yourself to dive into having what we would have had back then as a menstrual hut, as a moon lodge. So I invite you to create that for yourself. And then in the practices of the red tent, this is an experience of shedding and claiming. Each month on the new moon, we get to say, what am I shedding with my uterine lining that's shedding? And as this space is being created, and I'm not only physically releasing this lining, but I'm also emotionally and energetically releasing trauma or outdated ways of existing, or sadness from a breakup, or perhaps ancestral stuff that I'm carrying from my family and my motherline lineage, and stuff that I'm clearing out for my ancestors for 7 generations before and 7 generations after. We get a chance each month to shed and to claim, to release what is no longer serving us, and to claim, what am I going to birth with my rising estrogen and my egg being released in 2 weeks from now? What are we claiming to see manifest in our life? And this is going to be different for each new moon, each full moon. We are currently in the new moon in Taurus, so this is the energy of the bull. It's that fierce, really stepping into our strength and asking ourselves, where does our strength come from? What does inner strength mean to us? And each time we bleed, there can be a different theme based off of the astrology that we're going through, as well as collectively who we're surrounding ourselves with, what the womb collective is going through in general. We are in the times of the feminine rising. We are in times of sacred union coming into balance on our planet. We are in times that this is happening, and there's been the Me Too movement and a lot of expression of deep-rooted trauma so that it can be healed and loved and witnessed and create space so that we can come more into our power and not be hidden beneath the pain that we've experienced from our collective womb consciousness of having our temples taken down in ancient Egypt and in Avalon and being burnt at the stake just 200 years ago during the witch trials. We are freeing ourselves from this collective trauma. This collective shed is going on. So each month, tuning into our wombs, tuning into the themes that are coming up, tuning into the conversations we're having with our family and our community. And from that space, knowing what we're releasing, knowing what we're shedding, and knowing what we're claiming. Where do we want to place our creative energy? Welcome, Mary Reed. So we will get a chance to shed and claim. Today is a new moon. And I just wanted to now do some housekeeping of how this course works to help you get started and clear. So as we dive into this material the month ahead, how to work with this course. So the first thing I'd like to offer is this is your new blueprint. And maybe you are already experiencing this, or maybe you're not experiencing this at all. But either way, I would love to share the new blueprint of the menstrual cycle and what a healthy menstrual cycle can look like, what our ancestors experienced in a healthy menstrual cycle. So you can tune into your womb if you'd like when I share this. So imagine each month you are getting ready to bleed. You are in your late luteal phase, your please make space time of the month, aka PMS, and you're not feeling pain. You're not feeling crazy food cravings and bloating and irritability and extreme exhaustion. Instead, you're feeling this wild, fierce goddess who is rising into the surface, and she is fully at the forefront, and she is expressing herself powerfully through dance and movement and deep connection with others. This wild goddess is present, and you're so in tune with her that you're shaking your hips and you're listening to these deep emotions that are coming up, and you know what you were getting ready to release. You feel the veils are very thin. You feel yourself going into this portal of releasing who you are in this moment, going deep into the underworld of releasing that moon blood, that shed. And you feel yourself letting go, surrendering, and in that space, trusting that you will come out and you will be born again with more strength, more wisdom. And you're in this wild feminine. She is feeling fierce, but she is feeling compassionate. And then you start your moon, and your moon comes, and you didn't even realize your moon was coming. It just drops down. You feel that rush of that warm blood come down. It's bright, it's red, it's flowing. You feel the blood, you touch it, you anoint yourself, you place your hands over your womb, and you say, thank you so much, Mother Goddess. I honor you, sacred womb, holy chalice. I honor you. And you feel no ounce of anger or repression of this moon coming. You are totally excited and happy and honored that your moon is here, and you have pure love in your heart. And as you bleed, you take space, especially the first 2 days, to really give yourself time to rest. And you're drinking delicious elixirs that are full of minerals and hormone balancing vitamins. And you're drinking water and tea, and you're moving your body through light yoga and meditation and connection to nature and gentle hiking. And you feel spaciousness to rest, to relieve duties. And as you have this more space in your life, all that was coming to the surface in this PMS, please make space phase, is now melting away, and you have these new seeds of ideas incubate into your consciousness, inspiration of where to place your energy the month ahead that's coming up, where you truly feel called to move and to flow into the next realm of this month ahead. And it's so crystal clear that it is an epiphany that's just bursting through your consciousness, and you hear it from your guides and you receive it from your whole being, and you don't feel like you have to act on it now. You just feel that it is in this gentle container of your rest, of the spaciousness that you've created. And as you bleed, you play with your moon blood, you paint with it, you anoint yourself, you put it on your candles, you free bleed on the earth. Maybe you drink your moon blood or give it back to the earth. You feel that this blood is not dirty, that this is your strength, that it is full of stem cells, it is full of consciousness. And in your prayers, you offer it back to earth, releasing what is no longer serving you. And you feel connected, you feel grounded, you feel alive in your body, you feel present in your lower chakras. And as you come out of this experience, the energy naturally starts to build. You start to feel creative. You start to want to take action. And estrogen is rising. And as it's rising, these new seeds of ideas that incubated into your consciousness in the stillness of your moon time, now they're starting to take form, and you're taking action with your excitement. You're making them manifest through your words, through your writing, through taking steps forward. And you see these seeds of ideas continue to build and be nourished. And suddenly you start to feel really communicative, really feminine, really juicy in your body. Your cervix is releasing this gorgeous, stretchy, thick cervical fluid, and your egg bursts through the follicle, and you might even feel your ovary, which ovary released the egg that month. You are in the peak of your fertility. You are in full celebration mode. You are feeling fertile, communicative, expressive, and you are celebrating all that is manifesting in your life, all that you are grateful for. And then as you enter into your luteal phase, your inner fall, you still feel this peak of heightened energy and expression, but with the increase of progesterone levels, where progesterone is at adequate levels, you feel calm. You don't feel anxious. You feel calm and grounded. And then all the new ideas that you've been birthing and the celebration that you've experiencing in your fertility, now you have the brain from your progesterone to organize things, to ground things, to be practical, to budget, to put things on a schedule. And you notice yourself organizing and getting everything intact. You're nesting, and you feel really powerful in this phase. And then as you get everything organized and you're really implementing and you've taken stock of your harvest, again, you start to enter into that wildness. The veils start to become thin if you're not pregnant, and you get ready to shed once more, being clear with where you want to place your intention, being clear with what you're releasing this cycle, and creating space so that you can birth more the month ahead. This is your new blueprint. There does not have to be pain. There does not have to be irregularity. I'm sharing this blueprint with you so that you can receive those codes, because I believe that this is possible for all of us, wherever you're at in your journey. If this is your truth or not, it is absolutely okay where you are. You are perfectly divine in whatever you are feeling. And as we go through this course together, we'll be able to learn how to nourish our bodies, how to do rituals, so that the more we recycle this powerful energy and these emotions that we're feeling, and then build up our creative energy and really listen to our womb's intuition, that we will flow naturally into this blueprint that I shared for you, that it is our dharma that we flow into this, and that we already truly have it within. It is not something separate from us. This is already within. And when we do this work of cycling with the womb, that naturally we clear up that congestion and we come into this blueprint, which is just what we are. It's who we are. So thank you all for receiving that. So how this program works, I'm actually going to bring up your online temple to share with you what it looks like if you haven't seen it yet. So let me bring that up. Okay, so I sent you all an email. If you did not receive it, please let me know. I think you all did if you're here in this live call. But in the email, you've received your login link as well as your login password, which I believe is Goddess Love 88, all lower letters and no spaces. And please keep that handy somewhere, save it up in your computer tabs, save it in a Word document somewhere, or star the email, put it in a folder. And you'll have access to this course for at least several years. So there's a lot of content in this course, and I don't expect you to do it all unless you're like, you've just created that space and you're ready to go. This is in your own timing too, and whatever you do decide to do, there will be benefits. And whatever you don't have a chance to do, there will be time. You can continue working with these practices each lunar cycle after this cycle. So the weekly live schedule is posted here. I intend for us to meet for 3 Saturdays at 10:30 Pacific Standard Time, and then 2 Sundays at 4:30 Pacific Standard Time. And we can play around with this if the majority of the group can't meet on certain days, because I would love to have more of us here than not so we can share. But the reason why I created the live schedule this way is because it actually falls onto waning, onto each of the moon phases directly. Today's a new moon in Taurus. Then our next meeting will be the waxing moon, and we're going to dive deep into our inner spring phase, our follicular phase for this moon. The next moon will be the full moon in Scorpio. We're going to dive into the ovulatory phase, our inner summer. Then we're going to be meeting on the waning moon, and we're going to dive into the luteal phase, our inner fall. And then lastly, in the new moon in Gemini. I actually think this date, let me bring up my calendar real quick. I actually think June 2nd is a Sunday. We could also meet on that Monday on June 3rd as well in the evening if anyone is available, because that technically is the new moon in Gemini. And then we're going to be diving into the menstrual phase, the winter phase. And so each week we will have this group container to share and to vocalize questions, things that we're learning, things we've embodied and implemented, as well as I'm going to be asking questions for you all to have more clarity around your journey. And so what I invite you to do, as you can see when you scroll down, it says start here, the menstrual cycle. So this week, I would love for you to watch the menstrual cycle and overview. This goes deeper in how to work with this course. Now, when I first originally filmed this course, it was meant to be a self-paced journey, and sisters can still purchase this course and take it self-paced. Eventually, I added on the live version to it. So some of that will be talked about in here where I'm speaking about as this is self-paced. Know that, we have our live container. But I invite you to watch this soon, to watch the menstrual cycle and overview. Next to the session each week that I'd like for you to watch on your own, there's also this right here, which is our live Zoom call. So the link to each of the Zoom calls will be posted here. And also in preparation, so this week we actually kind of have double homework. That's okay, hopefully. I also would like for you to watch the follicular phase video before we join on the waxing half moon, because this will kind of start to prepare us for our topic next week. You don't have to do all the activities and the workout videos and things like that. You can do that next week after we meet in our online portal. But I'd love for you to watch the follicular phase video too, to start understanding the energetics of your inner spring, so then we can talk about it when we're all together. And then again, we'll go into the ovulatory phase. You'll watch the ovulatory phase video. We'll share in our live group about the ovulatory phase, full moon energy. We'll do the luteal phase and the menstrual phase. And so you'll see next to each of them, there is a workout video you can do that works with that phase. This one's pretty tough, the strength training with Lauren during the ovulatory phase. There's a meditation during the menstrual phase. And then when you go down further, these videos are still coming soon. They'll either be posted this week or next week, probably by the end of this week. These are 2 bonus videos that go deeper into specifics of hormonal issues, thyroid support, as well as natural solutions for PCOS, endometriosis, cysts, and fibroids. So these will be posted soon, as well as you have your menstruation expert vaults. So a few of these are still being posted as well. I think we're still waiting on Sabrina's, and then we have another video coming from our herbalist sister Ariel. And so you can watch any of these that call your attention whenever you feel like it. They're all pretty powerful goddesses speaking on the codes of the menstrual cycle. And then you have a bonus video down here. This is from my other course called Juicy Feminine Living. Some of you know of this course already and are participating in it. So this is a bonus. So if you do want to dive deeper into what I offer in my other programs, this program is all about clearing trauma with tantric practices like the yoni massage and working with the jade egg to rise our Shakti Kundalini energy, and really diving into our creatrix energy of what we're birthing in this world and how to clear out the blocks so that we can share more of this flowing energy to manifest. And then lastly, up at the top, so this is going to be your homework this week. There is the Moon Cycle e-cookbook that you can download. And as you work through the follicular phase video, next week, you can start to prepare, go grocery shopping, start to prepare foods that you want to make, either the recipes here or other foods that I list in the follicular phase that are supportive for that phase. So your homework this week is to look at, hold on, I'm just going to mute this real quick. Okay, your homework is to look through this book and some recipes, start getting inspired, because I'm going to encourage you to post photos of what you're eating in this course and share what phase you're in. And again, so the way that this is set up, the self-paced version that I have is intended for you to find out where you're at and then start with that week. But in this course, we're just going to work along with the moon phases. And I get that not all of us are bleeding on the new moon and, ovulating on the full moon. I get that we're all different. And if you want to watch another video, if like you're ovulating on the new moon, if you want to watch, the ovulation video at that time as well and start implementing, go for it. The reason I just wanted to create it in this way is so we can all kind of learn together these phases and talk about it together and work with the energetics of the moon. And then know wherever you're at, you can apply this information to that specific part of your cycle you're in. So yeah, just wanted to say, I recognize we're not all bleeding at the same time, bleeding with the moon. And that's also absolutely okay. Like, we don't have to be bleeding with the new moon, but for the sake of having a group cohesiveness, we're going to work with each of these phases in alignment with the moon as our guide. So if you are on the birth control contraceptive, you have been on it, or you've been on an antidepressant, or you're coming off the pill, there's a post-pill care guide. I recommend that everyone read this because there's great information here about minerals and nutrients we need to help balance hormones. Anytime we're on a contraceptive or pharmaceutical drug, antidepressant, taking something daily, it can affect our gut microbiome and our ability to absorb certain vitamins like B vitamins and minerals like zinc and selenium that we need for thyroid support, that we need for progesterone production. We can get deficient in these minerals, and if we're deficient, then it's going to imbalance our hormones. So check this book out, as well as I have 2 videos here. There's an estrogen eliminating wraps that is super fun to make with collared leaves as our burrito, as well as a cacao elixir video. I'm such a big fan of cacao. I love drinking it before my bleed comes. This was a video that I originally created for my friend Shona Keeley Jones of the Rose Lineage. So it's for one of her courses. So I kind of mentioned that, and so don't be confused. But both of these are cooking videos, and we'll have our third cooking video on the ovulatory week, on the full moon. And I would love to take a consensus of what everyone would like to learn how to make. If there's something that you all are just like bursting, maybe we can have I'll do like a poll or something in our Facebook group, and you can share your ideas. And then if everyone's like, yeah, I want to learn how to make that, we'll have a vote. And then lastly, your homework is going to be, so this is a moon cycle journal here in the start here phase. I'd love for you to download this and print it off, or create your own, get a special journal, or, you know, have it up on your laptop, where for now on, starting today, every day, I'd love for you to write at the top of this or use this format in the moon cycle journal. How are you feeling today? Like, where are you at in your cycle? If you know, how are you feeling? What's your energy like? What are your emotions like? What are you craving? What's your sex drive like? What is your cervical fluid or lack of cervical fluid like? Start to really attune into your body, because using your body as a guide is how we become sovereign creatrixes, because at that point we truly know ourselves and we know our signs. Because I'm going to give you a blueprint throughout this course, like the menstrual cycle overview. We'll talk about fertility tracking, the signs of when you're ovulating or you're not. Also, if you scroll down and find Caitlin's video, the Justice Method for Birth Control, she also gives a blueprint of how the female cycle changes each month as well with our fertility signs. And this is a blueprint, but I understand that all of our bodies are different, and some of us may have irregular cycles, some of us may have 28-day cycles. So the more that you're attune with what's going on and what your symptoms are, and you track it throughout this month, then you have a pretty good baseline of like, this is what happens to me in a month. And then if you continue doing that for 2 to 3 months, and then you can flip back, you know, how was I feeling this day of my cycle? You can start to see what your rhythm is. And if you don't have a rhythm that is regular, it's also a way to start being more attuned to what is going on with your body, so that you can help to build that communication and support your body if you're going through certain food cravings or experiencing certain emotions. It helps you attune to yourself and really understand yourself and have support options. So that is your homework as well. And bringing up our PowerPoint. So again, we're going to dive into all different ways to connect with the menstrual cycle in each of these 4 seasons. We'll learn the science of hormone shifts, the seasons, the moon phases, goddess archetypes that work with each of the phases, exercises to do, how this impacts our sexuality and our desire at each time of the month. We'll learn rituals. We'll learn what crystals also amplify each of the phases, as well as some of these ancient practices of Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, as well as supporting foods and herbs. So each of these phases, we will dive into all of that in the videos that you have pre-recorded on the online temple. And you'll learn all of this. You'll understand more of how this course works when you watch the course overview video. That is your homework for this week. So I'd love to, after I shared with you this blueprint that I had mentioned that we all received, wherever you're at in your cycle, again, it's divine. However you are experiencing your menstrual cycle right now, or whatever moon phase you're bleeding, or if you're not bleeding, or if you're on the birth control pill, it is absolutely okay where you're at in this journey. And I'd love to invite us all to create intentions for the next lunar phase of us together. We're on the new moon right now. So this is a time to let those new seeds of ideas incubate into our consciousness. So as we come out of this new moon energy, we place our attention on what we want to grow and manifest. So as we're here together, I'd love to hear from what we shared today, as well as why you came to this course, maybe what's going on with your body. What are your intentions for this lunar phase? Why are you here? What are you hoping to receive, to embody, to learn? What are your intentions to yourself to show up and do this work and create that space for yourself? I'd love to offer up some more sisterhood sharing. So here is the talking stick, and who'd ever like to go first? I welcome you to unmute yourself or raise your hand, and I will pass the talking stick. Anyone? Mary Reed, welcome.
Hey, Ali, and hello, goddesses. I am so deeply sorry for being late. My life's been.
Oh, there you go. Sorry, there you go.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I have a lot to share. So, I have had irregular cycles since I was 15 years old when my parents divorced. And I am 34 now. So that's a long time of feeling like disconnected from that part of my body, like not knowing why it was happening, feeling like a part of me was lost or shut down, and not knowing how to bring it back. And especially now, like as I'm in partnership and have children, and I don't want to be on birth control because it really affects my moods. It's kind of a weird and scary thing, like never knowing where my cycle is and like being intimate with my partner, but not wanting to. Anyway, I'm really wanting to show up for myself and for this group in a committed way. And I'm trying to figure out what that looks like, but I want to kind of try to schedule out time, even if it's 10 minutes every day, to check in with myself. And I'm really excited to just focus on my cycle and use that as a way to explore the blockages that might be happening. I was in the Juicy Feminine Living course and had so many goodies I think I'll be drawing from. But I feel like for me, I'm needing to get like much more to like the basics of like my body's functioning, and just paying attention and using whatever's happening as like a portal to explore what it's connected to. So I'm just really excited. And I got my bleed on Beltane after not having one for like 2.5 months. And so I really, in a way, the gift of that is like, I get so excited when I bleed. Like, I don't feel like it's this thing that's like, oh, this is so unpleasant. I'm like, yay, something good is happening. It's like a big celebration for me. So, yeah, I did some rituals around that and just really like celebrated part of me. So thank you all for listening. I'm really excited to be here with you. And my daughter's here too.
Hi, beautiful.
Yeah, this is Beatrice. So it's almost 10, so yeah. All right, I will look forward to hearing from the rest of you about your journeys.
Inhale together. Thank you. Who would like to share? Also, if you need more time cultivating your intention for this course, oh, I see Tina. You can always post a picture of yourself and write what your intention is in the Facebook group. It's also something I would encourage everyone to do, to introduce themselves there. But Tina, I saw your hand up, so if you'd like to unmute yourself, passing you the talking stick.
Yes, I just thought it always makes me a little nervous, these moments, to speak like when people are expecting me to speak. So I'll just go now, even though I'm not quite sure about the intention. But I think for me, at the moment it's really centering myself on my my inner goddess and my path, because my I would say my partnership and love life has been really, it's a bit crazy right now. It's not exactly what I would consider stable and something that where I can really let myself fall into. And I have been focusing a lot on that in the last years, and it's not what I'm intending to focus on in the next month or years. I don't know. Well, I'm 30 now, and I really would like to have children too. So that is a topic that I, yeah. So it's really, I feel really glad and thankful that I can work in this group together. I'm excited to hear more and to share more. And yeah, what was the other question? and it is I don't want to see my cycle as a curse anymore, and I don't anymore, but there's still a lot of things, a lot of yeah, sexual blockages and trauma that is there, and I feel the interconnectedness, and I've started a bit working, I think, looking into birth work too, and healing herbs, and so all of this I'm like excited to find the links, and but it's also really still a lot, and I very, very often don't trust myself at all, and I want to write and share, but then I just don't do it, and I that's I think yeah, what I self-centeredness and empowerment for us, this group, and me. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Inhale. Thank you for sharing. Okay, Julia.
Hi, lovely sisters. So my intention in journeying with you all through this course is really to hold myself accountable. I really like this word of accountability with the proper nurturance of my womb space. I've spent my whole life essentially feeling like she has great communications, but not really knowing exactly how to fully listen without the mind interfering, or without some kind of other agenda having an influence on what my womb really needs. And as a woman, like, we are womb-ons, we operate from this space, and so to really tune in and learn how to rewire so that your actions and your lifestyle are to support this space of your womb, and not so much exterior agendas. I feel like I've spent a long time too saying, oh, I'm ready to broaden my diet and to listen to her, to tone down my exercise when necessary. But I've always kind of said that I'm ready, but I've never really believed that I'm ready. And I'm really looking forward to fully now believing that I am a balanced and healthy woman instead of just playing the parts. I'm really ready to fully know that I am balanced. My hormones are in sync. Every cell is receiving the nutrients it needs. And holding myself accountable for the potential of wholesome vitality that we all carry as women. and from that space, like once the physical body's in a space of where its needs are being met, then we can really start to channel her energy and be in full service in whatever we feel are our missions in life. And I'm ready to be really ready now, and I look forward to the challenges of that, of letting go of, you know, sometimes that's going to mean maybe I have to release my desire to go really hard, because I love to work out. I think that's probably one of the things that has distanced me in my relationship with her, is that I always push, and I just love the feeling of the release. And obviously there's sometimes in our phases where we're not meant to push, and it's hard for me to listen to that. So I'm looking forward to knowing that there will be challenges in letting go of old routines, but it's for a greater vision of vitality. So thank you. I'm so excited, and I'm so excited that like all these yummy recipes get to be a part of it, and it can really be this beautiful art of coming into homogeny with our health. Thank you.
Inhale. Thank you. Taylor.
Okay, so for my intentions, I want to start focusing on what I'm eating, and being more nutritious and aware about what I'm eating, because I feel like I eat just kind of what I want, and then I crash and I drink a bunch of coffee throughout the day to chase after my son, and I just kind of live off of coffee, I feel like. So I really want to nourish my womb and figure out the phase I'm in, and give my body what I need, so I don't need so much caffeine. And also I want to figure out when exactly I can get pregnant and when I can't, because my last pregnancy was unplanned, and I just want to be really prepared next time I do have a child. So yeah, those are my intentions for the course.
Thank you. Aisling, did I say that right this time? Aisling?
Yeah. Yes, you did. Thank you. Hello. Oh, I love just listening to everybody's intentions. So beautiful. You all speak so beautifully. So my intention, I guess, personally would be just to deepen my own relationship to my own cycle and my own body. And I find it like almost like a spiritual practice. So I think like for me, I spent most of my 20s on the pill, and then never really gave that area much attention. And then when I came off the pill in my late 20s and early 30s, I'm 33 now, I just found it really fascinating to make that relationship with my body and become more in tune. And then I became pregnant and I was breastfeeding, so I had like a gap of like 3 years with no cycle, and I just came back, I guess, less than a year ago. And I feel like I'm just, it's a big new chapter again, and it's been a really beautiful journey, just like listening to my body and exploring eating the right foods. And I've been trying seed cycling, but I'd love to know more about what kinds of foods and nutrients we can give ourselves at certain times. So I guess just, deepening that relationship, learning more, understanding more about hormones. And then professionally, or like what I would like to be able to share later, is I work with teenage girls. And like you said, Ali, I think it's just such important wisdom and remembering that's not covered in school. I'm a school teacher, well, resigned, more working into this heart-centered business I do now. But I would love to be sharing, thanks, I would love to be sharing this kind of wisdom and teaching, and even just like holding the space for girls to talk about this kind of thing. So I'm going to love just learning from everybody here. Oh, thanks. and yeah, seeing where this takes me next. So thank you. So happy to be here and connect with all of you. Mwah.
Inhale. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we're gonna go over a few more slides, have one more share, and then we'll be closing our first live session. So these slides are on the are in your first video that you'll be watching, the overview. And basically our menstrual cycle, as we'll learn in this course, relate to so many other things that are going on with the earth and the seasonal changes with the moon and the moon phases. And so so basically, though, not all of us are bleeding on the new moon and ovulating on the full moon, and that is okay. I just want to share this, that there's a lot of information on Instagram and people are like, I want to be a new moon bleeder, and am I wrong for not being a new moon bleeder? It's okay. You don't have to be. The modern day society that we live in right now, there is a thing called light pollution, and that light and the computer glow can mess with our pituitary and our pineal gland, causing us to have our melatonin production suppressed, and it can affect our hormones and our circadian rhythm, as well as if we work night jobs or if we have irregular cycles of, irregular like time of day that we're like working or sleeping. These things can be impacted by light, and it can shift our menstrual cycle, having light outside from street pollution, things like that, or light pollution from the streets. However, there's also this process going on where our wombs can attune to each other's wombs, and we can also attune to our creative energy, and each of the moon phases symbolize a specific type of creative energy that we're working with internally. So, for example, this slide will be in your overview, so you can, I'll talk about it more in depth there. But if you're bleeding on the new moon, typically this is known as a white moon cycle, and your energy is pulled inward more for spiritual growth. Maybe you're cultivating your energy for healing, you're fasting, you're actually wanting to have a child, and your energy is turned inward. So this creative energy that you have, which your womb is the source of creativity, your sacral chakra holds your creative energy of death and rebirth. This energy is turned inward. So depending on where you're at in your cycle, some of you might bleed the same time each month, and you've been like this, you've been regular for years, and some of your wombs might actually change depending on the creative energy you're outputting or turning inward, what you're birthing in the world, as well as who you're hanging out with. If you've just moved across the country and are now living with this happened to me, with two priestess sisters who, all of our wombs actually started to bleed right when we moved in with each other, and for several cycles we all bled together, and now we're like different again. But we attune with whoever we're creatively connected to, and if we're leading a retreat with somebody, or co-creating an event, or just working with the same theme with somebody else who we feel very aligned with, a theme of life, our wombs can attune to their wombs and we can sync up. So oppositely, if we're bleeding on the full moon, this is called the red moon cycle, as well as the medicine woman. She's holding space for the sisters that are bleeding on the new moon and transmuting this collective consciousness type of energy. She's holding space. And it said when we are bleeding on the full moon that our energy is actually, instead of turned inward, it's extended outward in these like global our energy is birthing for the global. So perhaps we're creating a business, or we are birthing something for our community, or we're showing up and leading online courses. It's a very extroverted kind of energy. When we think about full moon energy, it's that expansion. Same with our creative energy, it's more turned outward. And then if we're bleeding on the waxing or the waning moons, again, these have significant symbols of our creative energy. Our waxing moon coming out of our new moon, our energy still turned inward, and we're cultivating these new ideas. We're making new discoveries about ourselves. We're receiving and learning new information, and we're cultivating this energy that we're like getting ready to birth for the world. And then in the waning moon menstruation, after full moon, we go into waning and then into the new. It's said that our energies are still extended outward, birthing something for the collective, but we're starting to really ground into ourself and taking stock of our harvests and working through our plans and really making sure we're coming from this rooted space as we're giving this energy. Because sometimes when we're full moon bleeding and we're giving so much, it can be this quite intense process. So this can change. This can fluctuate. We can attune to each other's wombs. There's no right or wrong. Light pollution does, like I said, play a factor into this, affecting melatonin production. Back in the day when we did live in these tribal communities, we only had the fire, the stars, the moon phases, and the sun. And so the computer glow at 2 in the morning or laying in our bed with our cell phone can actually affect the body, making us think that there's a full moon, and it can slow down melatonin, the sleep hormone production, and it can cause insomnia. So even though we live in this modern day where we don't necessarily have to be bleeding on the new moon, light pollution does play effect into this. And if you know that you have your computer and you're working really late at night, and your moon is kind of irregular, also you can work with the lights and helping restore your body, maybe using red light therapy at night where you just put in a red bulb, or you have candles, or there's multiple ways of decreasing light around, as well as I give some practices in your overview video. So I just wanted to share that, as well as your menstrual cycle relates to the seasons, which this whole course is going to deep dive into it. But basically an overview is your menstrual phase is connected to your inner winter season. This is when everything's still, the uterine lining shedding, all hormones are returning to a low level. We're in the stillness of winter so that new seeds of ideas can be incubated, and then we can come out of this phase into our spring, which is our follicular phase. This is when estrogen's rising. It is a time of building. The uterine tissues are building again. We have more energy and creative ideas. This is our spring. Then we build up into the peak of our fertility, which is our summer. The fruits are on the trees, ripe and falling to the ground. We have high testosterone, high estrogen, high energy, very expressive and communicative. And then we start to contract and we go into our luteal phase, our inner fall. Progesterone levels climb, estrogen to testosterone decline. As progesterone goes up, we feel grounded, we want to nest, we feel like we want to organize, and we come into our body of what we're preparing to shed. What are we getting ready to release? So you may know where you're at already in your cycle, you may not, and that's why this course is going to help you. It's going to give you that blueprint to understand, to track your cycle. But basically the easiest way to know where you're at is day 1 of your cycle is when you start bleeding. So I'm on day 3 of my cycle. I'm in my menstrual phase. I'm in my winter. I started my cycle several days ago. I'm on day 3. So day 1 is when you bleed. And that's how you can track your cycle. And then typically around day 14 is when most women ovulate. Again, I'm going to share all this in the overview, so you'll get to dive into it there. And so if you do know where you are in your cycle and you'd like to share in the comments, you can please type that out now. Or you can share, of course, in the Facebook group for those who are watching this video and aren't here live. I'd just love to hear if some of you know where you're at in your cycle, if you'd like to write in the comments. And I'll wait for y'all to do that. Again, you have this moon cycle journal that you can download. As you can see, this is what it looks like. So if you do print this off, you can just circle and write. Really getting to understand where you're at is so powerful. Mary says day 5. Awesome, love. Yeah, you and I are close to, we're bleeding sisters. You started yours right on Beltane, which I just love. Taylor says, I just entered my follicular phase. Beautiful. Aisling is on day 2. So we're also, or sorry, Ashling, we're synced up. So A lot of us are already syncing up. Tina is on day 26. So most likely if your menstrual cycle comes usually around day 28, most likely you're in your late luteal phase, your inner autumn. Great. Okay. So lastly, I wanted to share, and we're going to go into this deeper next week. Oh, we have one more in the chat box. Tina says, and fully feeling it. Awesome. Beautiful. Let that wild woman out. So the last thing I wanted to share, next week, we're going to go deeper into this. Our period is not a curse. There are so many connotations that come up in our society through, you know, the ads that are like, Auntie Flo is here bringing pain and misery, you know, shove up a tampon and don't deal with it. Don't look at it, throw it down the toilet, flush it down, and don't look at it. Like, there's this intensity of like, we need to hide it. It's dirty. We're on the rag. Like, you know, that's kind of a weird expression. Although I do personally like to put rags or cloths underneath my yoni and free bleed while I'm like working on the computer and just like feel my flow come down. This is from a South Park episode. I have brothers, but there's a quote that says, I don't trust anything that bleeds for a week and doesn't die, which is kind of true. I mean, we bleed for a week and we don't die. We're powerful, but like, it's just, yeah, there's a lot of shame. There's a lot of distrust. There's a lot of hiding it. Like, keep yourself clean. Don't let anyone see. Hide it, contain it. And what is this doing to us energetically if we feel like we have to hide the most sacred part of our body and we have to take Midol and drink espresso so we can show up, be peppy, be happy, and continue to be productive in this modern day consumerism-based society? What is this doing energetically for our ability to fully be in our power when we're bleeding? And so, as you can see, like, I'm like, show the bleed, and I'll go out into my community this way. Sometimes it's like too much, and but sometimes I will. Sometimes if I'm really feeling it, why not? And I truly believe that the more we dive into these rituals and live this as our truth and let others see us and know when we're bleeding, when our kids witness us, when our beloved witnesses us, our family, it's not this like, I'm on my bleed, like disconnection. It's more like, this is what's going on, and it's an honoring that is happening where we're honoring ourselves, and when we normalize it, it becomes normal to them, and then our sons recognize how to treat their beloveds as they get older. Our daughters know how to see this as something sacred, and then they're not cursing themselves as they enter their first moon. Our beloveds learn how to work with our cycles and attune to our womb's wisdom and support us, and together we can harmonize with each other. It was said back in tribal communities that tribes would bleed together, not just the women, but men in the tribes would too. Energetically, they were all attuned to the womb consciousness, and as the collective shed was happening, this was a chance for the whole tribe to energetically release patterns, ways of existing, working with the land, just whatever was going on collectively as a whole, to let go together, go into that underworld to get that underworld journey together, release, shed, and rebirth. So this is powerful medicine of our womb, and the more that we embrace it and share it with others lovingly, like it's normal, then we are birthing our new paradigm through listening to our wombs. So we're going to go deeper into this next week, these underlying emotions that are contributing to the imbalances that we're experiencing and the pain that we're experiencing, because I fully believe that it's not just nutrition, it's not just light pollution, it's not just toxins and lifestyle things. It's also the emotional aspect of being a modern day woman and having our moon be repressed for so long. So we're going to dive deeper into this next week. But before we go today, because this is the new moon in Taurus, we've got a comment. Julia says day 17. Beautiful. So you might be around ovulation. You might have just finished ovulation. Mary Reed says, I had a powerful experience bleeding in community and being honored. This inspires me to write about it and share. Yes, please do. We would love to hear about that on the online Facebook group. Absolutely. So this last portion of today, I'm going to ask us to practice our concise priestessing and being able to take a huge concept of what we want to shed, what we want to claim, and bring it into words that concisely communicate it. So this is powerful work, being able to take expansive this, and this, and this, and bring it down into concise words. That is the practice of being really clear. So we're gonna have our red tent moment today, where I invite us all to connect with this new moon in Taurus energy, the energy of the bull, as well as the energy of sensuality and pleasure, being able to be in our senses and be in our body and feel ritual, feel ceremony. So reclaiming this as we go into this collective shed, whether you're on your bleed or not, just attuning to the new moon, the dark moon energies, where there's shadow outside, where it's dark, it brings up that thickness, it brings up that the unprocessed. I invite you today, as we do in the red tent, we can think of the terms of the serpent energy. The serpent sheds its skins that it is outgrowing, and it is rebirthing into this new skin. And so we can think about, what are we shedding? What are we letting go of? And in that spaciousness, what are we claiming? So again, I'd love for this to be concise. I am shedding, and you state it boldly. I am claiming, and you state it boldly. And then if more comes up later, of course, we have our Facebook group. I'd love for you to continue writing, feeling inspired to share whatever you'd like to share, your own personal journeys, photos, articles, please share in our group. So who would like to share? And you know what? Who would like to share? What are you shedding? What are you claiming? So holding up the dark goddess, Tina.
I am shedding anxiety, and I am claiming clarity.
Beautiful. So we can inhale together. And we all say, and so it is. Blessed be. Taylor? Oh, I'm sorry, love. You got hang on. There you go. Can you start again? You were muted.
Okay. I am shedding unconscious eating behaviors, and I'm claiming harmony in my day-to-day actions and more peacefulness.
Inhale. And so it is. Julia, you're unmuted.
Thank you. I am shedding my fear of disappointing myself and others. And I am reclaiming her everlasting presence in every event that comes my way, letting my lips be in correspondence with my uterus and speaking what's there without doubt.
Beautiful. Inhale. And so it is.
So it is.
I am shedding my pull to distractions that are shiny and amazing and juicy and beautiful, but not in full alignment of my priorities. And I'm claiming crystal clear clarity to make space for the things that are full fuck juicy yeses, fuck yeses. And I'm claiming devotion and dedication to working on those priorities, aka the cookbook I'm writing. And so it is.
I am shedding playing small and playing safe, and I am claiming or reclaiming my own power, my own wisdom, and my own ability to share that.
And so it is.
I'm shedding internalized societal judgments that don't serve me, and the shame and self-sabotage that accompanies them. And I'm claiming my identity as a priestess of sacred sexuality in all of its facets.
Inhale. And so it is. Thank you all for your beautiful sheds and claims. I invite you to solidify this even further by writing about it in your journal, writing it about it on the online temple so the other sisters can witness you, or make an altar space in your bedroom for this course, and put something on there that represents your intention. Put something on there that represents your shed and your claim, whether it is an object or an image, a photo. I offer you to have many sacred symbols around, crystals, things that hold the energy of what it is that you're birthing and letting go of, to help be that transmutation for you and that reminder. So with that, the portal's open. Goddess in Rhythm is now in full bloom, and I'm just ecstatic to be here with all of you and to dive deep each week into the wisdom of our menstrual cycle. So you have your homework, which is to start working with the Moon Cycle e-cookbook, to watch the overview, which I would actually recommend to watch the menstrual cycle overview, the first video, soon, so you can have all week to digest it. And then as we get closer to our next meeting next Saturday, watch the follicular phase video to get your mind into thinking about that. And then you can kind of spread out the homework. Also, to have your handy journal to be tracking your menstrual cycle, and yeah, show up in the Facebook group, share when you feel called to share. And yeah, just honoring you all. So I'm gonna have us all unmute ourselves so we can say goodbye. And I would love just popcorn out, what our blessings are for this container that we've created here. So if you feel called to share something, please share it. I'm just gonna offer up sovereignty, self-trust, and sacred wisdom.
Our intuition.
Remembrance of our divinity.
New sacred sisterhood.
Reclaiming the oracle of our womb.
Being present to what is.
May this circle never be unbroken. May we feel each other within our womb spaces, knowing that we are connected, united, we are working together. I deeply, deeply love and honor you all. Shall we take one more inhale and exhale to unite and close this container today? Beautiful. So let's inhale. Take care, beauties. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I
Have a
will.
good day over there.
Yeah.
Good night.
Bye.
Morning.
Bye. I love you.